Hello, boys and girls. Are you excited? Can you feel the electricity? The power? Maximum alert, baby. Welcome back. Big day today. Big day today. News. Fires. Mexicans. What's going on? Let me tell you. Cut the music. I said cut the music. Thank you. Thank you. Guys, welcome back to Maximum Alert. I am your host, Ethan. It is time now for you to rest your weary soul. Things are getting better. That is the news of the day. Now, will they stay that way? Doubtful. But does it matter? No, because the Lord is in control, baby. His plans cannot be usurped. His ideas cannot be replaced. He is the creator of all things. He is the master of the narrative historical arc of all of humanity. He is the writer of that story, and he is good. So the ending will be good, and your ending will be good. So you can relax, dude. Sit back, listen to my soft, screaming voice, maybe get a little glass of whiskey. I'm not a whiskey guy myself, more of a stout, imperial stout kind of man. Light up a cigar. If you're a woman, maybe one of those long filtered cigarettes. That like what's the cat? There were a lot of cats being animated when I was a kid, and the females were all wearing long gloves and smoking long filtered cigarettes. Maybe light up one of those if you're a young woman. Doubt you are if you're listening to this, but stranger things have happened. Stranger things have occurred. I'm really hoping, my hope is that this is recording through the correct microphone. It looks like it. As I get closer, yeah, okay, we're good. We're good to go, baby. Guys, I say my vote is that we just dive right into it, all right? Probably not going to be a long one today, be honest with you. I'm tired, okay? Now, you might say, Ethan, you're always tired. You say that every time. And I would say, shut up. Let me live my life and do what I have to do, okay? So maybe it's a short one. Maybe I rant. Maybe I ramble a little bit. It gets a little longer. You don't know. Actually, I guess you will know because you'll see the recording length when I post this. Whatever. Don't get particular with me, okay? Here we go. News of the day. All right, here's actually one thing I do want to tackle. So this is something that I can speak to a little bit. The numbers for me, like the specifics, are a little fuzzy, and maybe I should have done some prep work before this to do that. But again, all right, I got a highfalutin, highly civilized position in society, okay? I got a big job. I got to do a lot of stuff. And I work 80 hours a week, bro. 80 hours a week, nonstop, no days off. I barely sleep, dude. I just take caffeine pills and vitamin D. I don't even sleep. I don't need sleep. I just take vitamin D. Man, everything's coming apart. Hope you guys can't hear the sound of me kicking this wire. What was I saying? Oh yeah. I didn't brush up. All right. So you're gonna have to humor me. Okay. You're gonna have to hear me out on the ideas here, not necessarily. Don't shrink yourself down to the particulars here, all right? But the first thing I want to talk about today is the I kind of label it at this point as the Green New Deal stuff. I mean, I don't really know. That's kind of how they were talking about it for a long time. And they were talking about it like when I was getting into all this stuff, when I was a reporter, or training as one at least. And I got really into that. So to give you some background, they put... well, I don't know. Can I tell you that? Can I tell you that while I'm not doxing myself? No, I can't. That's too much detail. You could look that up. I got exposed, all right? I got exposed early on to the scams and the trickery of the green stuff. So I'll explain a hypothetical to you, okay? Let's say a man creates a turbine, all right, a wind turbine. He's going to draw power from this turbine, okay? I think even there was a project at one point where this guy created a retractable turbine, and so it would you could deploy it it was mobile. So the idea was in a high wind situation, like a hurricane or tornadoes or something where people have lost power, you can roll this thing out and the wind will blow it so fast that it'll create a bunch of power. And so it's a green way to create emergency power. Now, he demonstrated that. I think there's a video. I won't find it. There's no way I'll be able to find it. It's old. But it retracted. One of the ideas was that if the wind got too fast, it would automatically retract itself so that it wouldn't break. Right? I mean, that doesn't seem like it's that hard, but it retracted itself. When it did the retraction, it retracted itself 3 inches. And that was it. And it was it looked like something a 14-year-old would do in a year for a project, with his dad or something. Each one of these things, it was made out of poles, and it was just attached to what was at one point a diesel generator. I mean, they probably were actually diesel generators just turned on to draw the power that this guy was claiming they were drawing. Anyways, the point is that this thing didn't work. All right, it didn't work at all, and if it did generate power, I don't remember that being part of it. I feel like I remember it distinctly not generating enough power because it was the efficiency coefficient was bad because it was too heavy or something. I don't remember exactly what it was. But here's the point. The guy, his whole plan, and I don't necessarily know that he was successful with this, but I can tell you there were several other organizations that did this and do it today that are successful with this plan. And the idea is basically that we're going to create a Green New Deal, we're going to create a green thing, a green turbine, a green this, a green that, and then we're going to sell it to governments. We can't sell them to companies. Now that's changed in the past couple of years, but we can't change these things. We can't sell these things to companies because companies will scrutinize them and realize they don't work, but we can sell them to the government because the government doesn't care. Officials, states get all kinds of incentives from the federal government to go green, to become more fuel efficient, a renewable energy sort of focus. And so this guy creates these turbines or whatever product. There's every year, I think I see one that's basically just a bunch of car batteries inside a shipping container with, inefficient, cheap solar panels on top of them. And that's a battery bank that can be deployed anywhere. And it's more efficient, or it's more expensive to build it than it will generate power. So it doesn't pay for itself and how much electricity it generates. And so these people, these rent seekers, look up rent seeking. I'm not going to explain it to you. These rent seekers come up with, they go rent a WeWork office to shoot a promotional video, they're sitting in some nice office or whatever. They rent one workspace, one meeting room, and they shoot this promo video of their thing. It's in action. We're deploying it live, whatever. They make a video that looks nice. They take it to some town hall or county government or state level government. Mostly this particular scam operates at the county level. And they come in and sell these devices that don't work to locally elected officials. Those locally elected officials and the bureaucrats that support them, they then in turn get to put a stamp on their next campaign. I did this much to get a green initiative, whatever. And they do get kickbacks from these companies, okay? Don't for a second get it twisted, all right? Don't get this idea in your head that it's it's definitely got to be illegal for these companies to come in and wine and dine politicians and give them stuff in order to make these huge deals. Yeah, they absolutely do that, okay? The politicians are dealing with money that isn't theirs, right? It's taxpayer money, so they don't care at all. They have no incentive whatsoever to not blow all that money on stupid shit that's going to get them reelected, or they think is going to get them reelected. And then these companies that spent, $10,000, $5,000 on these pieces of crap machines that don't work, sell them for $50,000 a pop, and they sell them like 10 or 20 at a time to municipalities and county governments. All right, now that's rampant. I don't know if that's still when I was doing all of this stuff. When I was investigating this stuff as a quote unquote journalist, when I was in the school newspaper, that was everywhere. Okay, that was in my town. That was in every town around us. I'm in Texas, and that's a huge scam in Texas right now. Is the green stuff, and so these organizations, they come up with all these clever ways to make machines that effectively don't work but look nice, and then they sell them to people who don't care if they work or not. And that's the idea. It's rent seeking. So the kind of the fundamental underlying, wow, this is already not this is going poorly. I got to stop recording these at the end of the day. I'm sorry. All right, so here's one of the fundamental issues. The fundamental issues with the green, there's two fundamental issues, and the most fundamental is that these green initiatives are being there. It is peeing into the wind. All right, there's a carbon cycle, just like there's a water cycle and a rock cycle, mineral cycle, whatever they called it in middle school. There's a carbon cycle. And they don't teach you about the carbon cycle because the Club of Rome, Google that, Club of Rome has decided that the arch nemesis of humanity will be climate change because you can fight against it infinitely and change nothing. The Club of Rome decided that you're not going to learn about the carbon cycle in school too much. If you did, you don't remember it. The carbon cycle is long. It's very long. I think it's like 1,000 years or something like that. Thousands of years, maybe even. And basically, it's just the amount of carbon in the atmosphere increases and decreases without any interaction from us. It just happens naturally. As the amount of carbon in the atmosphere raises, so does the plant life. The plant life then consumes that carbon. The carbon decreases. The plants die off because there's not enough carbon. The plants, as they're dying off, are producing oxygen. So the amount of oxygen in the air, in the atmosphere raises, and the carbon decreases in the cycle. As the oxygen goes up, mammals and lizards, reptiles, these oxygen-consuming organisms, the amount of them and their size increases. And so it's just this cycle, right? Because oxygen-consuming creatures produce carbon. When we breathe, when we flatulate, we produce carbon. And carbon-consuming beings produce oxygen. And so that creates a carbon cycle that has nothing to do with whether or not you drive a big truck. All right? Now, the carbon cycle occurring naturally, here's one way you can know, and you can look this up. The carbon cycle, the way you can know that the carbon cycle is occurring and occurring naturally. When Rome was colonizing the British Isles, they were growing grapes there to create wine. Now, do you think today you can grow a lot of grapes there? No, you cannot. It was warm enough in England, in the area that is today England, to grow grapes there when Rome was around. All right, the planet was very warm. Now, I don't necessarily know that I believe dinosaurs existed. I do believe some kind of large lizards were kicking around. But do you know how hot the planet would have to be to support a lizard bigger than an alligator? All right? Do you know how hot it would have to be to have a lizard the size of a car? It's pretty hot, brother. They don't make their own heat. It's got to be pretty hot. So and we know ice ages have occurred, right? There's been times where it's very hot, times when it's very cold. So the Earth is constantly rotating in how hot it is versus how cold it is, and that is all due to how much carbon is in the atmosphere, and that fluctuates without us having any interaction with it, any interaction at all. So the question is not, is the Earth getting hotter actually? It is in some places. It's getting cooler. And that's another thing, by the way, little caveat here. It used to be global warming. When I was a little kid, the term they used was global warming. Now the term they use is climate change because the globe isn't getting hotter everywhere. It's getting hotter in some places and colder in others. So climate change is the moniker that they use now. They moved the goalpost once they realized that they couldn't say global warming. And so climate change is a naturally occurring thing. It's not synthetic. It's not been introduced since the creation of the internal combustion engine. That's not what it does, or that's not what it is. And so that's one of the fundamental issues. Now, the other fundamental issue is that the energy coefficient of these technologies that people are introducing to be quote unquote renewable is not good enough to justify their existence. An energy coefficient is the amount of energy the thing that a machine or a thing produces versus how much energy it consumes in order to produce that energy. So if you have a machine that requires 10 units of energy, however you want to measure that energy, it has 10 units of energy and it only produces 8. That is a bad energy coefficient because it's consuming more energy than it's creating. And most of these machines do that. It's like 10 to 8 or something like that. I don't know what the actual number is. Again, haven't brushed up on the specifics, but they're energy inefficient is what they actually are. They consume the amount of energy required to pull all of the gigantic pieces to these gigantic windmills that are all up in Texas, the diesel engines that are required to drive them there, the amount of energy required to manufacture them, the amount of energy required to get the materials to manufacture them, all of this stuff, the amount of energy put into assembling these things that's represented in its cost and the price of it. They do not produce enough energy to outweigh that. And you see that in Texas everywhere where you have power going out when it gets a little cold here. You have a grid that's overtaxed and it's like it's such a scam, dude. It's such a scam that they create an energy inefficient power grid. And then when the power goes down, they go, we're using too much energy. We got to build more of these. All of these burning coal is bad. It's energy inefficient. We need to create more windmills. I need more bullets in my head. I need more holes in my head. Quickly, please put more. Sir, grab that drill. I need more holes in my head. I don't have enough holes in my head. I put one right through my frontal lobe. I can't think. Put more holes in my head. And I wish that it was that. I wish that it was that our politicians were just stupid, right? That would be... I don't know. Somehow actually, does that make it better if they were just stupid? Is that real? Can you guys hear me making these adjustments? I hope not. I wish our politicians were just stupid. I don't know if I wish that, but it's not that they're just stupid. Okay, it's that they are in league with people who hate you, people who resent that you exist, people who either resent that you exist or don't care that you do and are just out to make a buck for themselves. One of the more recent scams that is going on is this tax credit idea. Give me a second here. Hold on. I'll be right back. So one of these scams is, I don't know if they're still working, if they're still operating, but there's a company called Green Trees. And this scam is called carbon credits or carbon offset credits. A company I used to work for dabbled in these a lot because they were a nonprofit organization. That's another thing. I worked for a company that helped all these organizations, all these nonprofit. There's a reason why most of these green companies are all nonprofits. And it's because they can't run as normal businesses because they can't actually efficiently create these machines. They have to go out and get donations and stuff to support all their work. But there was a company called Green Trees, and they were selling these carbon credits. And the idea was that you would buy these carbon credits, and then they would go out and they'd plant a number of trees to absorb carbon from the atmosphere. But what they were doing was they were taking trees that already existed, saying they planted them, and then selling carbon credits because no one checks. No one checks these people. So somebody finally checked and they figured out they're not planting any trees. They're just going to forests and going, look at this forest that I planted, and selling these credits. So this entire system is a scam. It's just another way to siphon money from your pocket. And how is it siphoning money from your pocket? Most of the financing that comes from this entire, most of the financing for this system, you can tell we're in a rough way. I was supposed to record yesterday. I didn't because I was so brain dead. I couldn't even get the mic turned on. Most of these organizations get their financing via tax dollars. Okay. And it's not even necessarily tax dollars. It's, money that's being printed by the Federal Reserve, which is in itself a tax, inflation, whatever, yada, yada. You've heard it a million times on this show. So these organizations are running inefficient machines that don't work. And in some cases, they're not making anything. They're just lying and saying that they are. And then they're getting funding from the government, whether it be, through selling these tax credits or carbon credits, or selling these machines to the federal government or local governments. But that's what they're doing. Okay, these are not organizations. These are not organizations that are real. And anytime you hear somebody come up on stage or whatever, you see some person in a gray, futuristic looking pantsuit saying, "Hi, I'm from NPR, and I'm here to tell you about how humanity is boiling the world alive. We're actually deeply evil. We should be erased. We are a cancer on the planet, and you should stop having babies and start. You should really just accept lower wages and worse living conditions and not having power all the time. We might start cutting power off at night. You can only run your AC sometimes, not all the time. We just have to do it, okay? The planet's getting too hot. We're evil, and humanity is evil, and it has to be extinguished at least by half before we can really allow the planet to cool back off. We're going to die. It's going to happen." Anytime you get that, the person looks official. They're wearing a button or some kind. It's an old lady with a bob haircut or something. She's got a clicker in her hand. She's walking around. She's holding her hands up by her chest in a very authoritative manner, moving her hands, saying things as if they're like implied, like it's stupid that you don't understand what she's saying. If you don't understand this person, if in a more just, less barbaric society, that person would be hung for everyone to see, publicly hung, okay? Because that person is lying to steal money from you. That's what they're doing, okay? So you can actually just disregard all of it. And that's the thing I hope this relieves stress for you. I hope it doesn't cause you stress, because it's coming to an end, right? Trump just axed all those programs, and he's going after them hard. We're going to start drilling for more oil. We're going after the things that actually produce real power. It's over, so you don't have to worry about it, and you don't have to listen to some IMF person or some person at like the Davos group giving some TED Talk presentation. Everything's kind of, the stage is like all kind of gray and blue, whatever. It looks like official and minimalistic. You know what it's like. The stages that they take, they could just as well be any gate at DFW, like any major airport they could be talking in. That's what it looks like. It looks like any major airport. You don't have to listen to them and start going, "Oh man, is the planet getting hot?" It's not. Nothing's happening. Nothing is happening. It's all fake. It's all designed to take money from you. So you can just go, "That person's retarded. I don't have to listen to them. I don't even have to think about it, actually, because Trump's got my back here. So I don't have to worry about this. I can chill. I can go back to my family. I can do what they don't want me to do, which is pay attention to the people around me who love me, build relationships, go to church. I can do all those things and not have to worry about this bullshit, because that's what it is." So just relax. Don't worry about it, all right? It's okay. Chill out. The planet's not heating up, and the people who are stealing are about to have to stop stealing, okay? It's over. The game's over. All right? This fake economy, tech bro, all this stuff, It's coming to a swift end. Okay, and the I do want to take another opportunity here to attack this impending China threat, like I always do, which is that China. I think China's responsible for like 30% of the world's carbon emissions. They signed the Paris Accord, and everybody, the Paris Accord is like a major Green Deal thing that, everybody's going to, over the next 50 years or whatever, going to roll back their carbon emissions. And everybody in the West and Europe and the U.S. was like really kind of trying to go along with this and comply with the Paris Accord. China signed it and just didn't do anything. They increased their carbon emissions. And so now China looks like an economic powerhouse, while the U.S. economy's obviously in decline, even though they say it's not. And the idea here is to give you this sense that China is actually fundamentally, from the ground up, a real threat to Western dominance, when in reality it's the West kneecapping itself. That's how China is getting ahead in one area. But he also, again, it's just, there's this DeepSeek platform. I'm sure you guys have seen something about this if you haven't. It's an AI. So this AI company came out and they were like, look, we've got this new model and it goes so much fast. It's just as fast as ChatGPT's, except ChatGPT costs way more money than DeepSeek. And I watched that come out, and it's DeepSeek, a Chinese company. And, when I saw it come out, I went, I'm not gonna react to this for a week. Something's gonna come out that's gonna prove that this is just Chinese people lying. And I think like 3 days later, they were like, oh, surprise, by the way, just kidding. We have like 20,000 NVIDIA chips that we're using. It's just as expensive to do what we do as the ChatGPT thing. It's not actually an improvement whatsoever. And that's the entire Chinese economy. Okay, it's all lies. So even when China's like, yeah, we're only doing 30% of the carbon, whatever, like it's all fake. All their numbers are fake. It's all lies. You can't trust any of it. So China's not, they're not coming for us, all right? And they're, any chance that they have of coming for us is us deciding to go like the green direction and kneecap ourselves on industry and productivity and energy generation by using energy inefficient technologies. Which is ending. Again, it's ending. It's over. So it doesn't matter. This is all of this stuff is being phased out. And that's good. It's really good that that's occurring. And I'm glad that it is. And it's, I think this speaks to a larger thing, which is that in this era, this time around, I don't know if you guys remember in 2016 when Trump got elected, it was nonstop fighting from the point he got office to the point he left office. It was constant. Everyone was against Trump. Zuckerberg couldn't wait to censor people. Couldn't wait for it, dude. He was frothing. He was drooling. He couldn't wait. I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to point out that his last name ends in Berg, but all right, I'm not going to say the thing I'll say that, but I'm not going to say what I was originally going to say. Zuckerberg couldn't wait. Twitter couldn't wait. The entire federal government was oriented against Trump. And this time, what's happening? Everyone's bending the knee. Everybody knows what's coming because the game is up. It's all up. It's over. Now, is it too late? Is Trump going to do the right things? Can Trump really get the economy started? Is he really going to go after the Fed? Is he really going to do what needs to be done in order to correct course? Probably not. He's probably buying us time, but he's probably not going to solve the real issues, which is fine. I mean, if you're a 25-year-old or you're an 18-year-old, or if you're in college, if you're getting your career started, or you're in college right now, you're going to start getting your career started in a good time. Okay, now I would say that it's probably a little bit better to be in my position where your career's been going for 5 years, and now you're starting to really make money in a time when when the money's gonna start flowing again. But I do think that there's probably some sort of major, economic crisis. I've said this forever. I don't think there's going to be a World War III. I think it's going to be an economic crisis so bad that World War III might as well have occurred just from the amount of wealth loss and starvation that's going to occur. But it won't, I've said this a million times, it really won't happen here, so you can relax. And by here, I mean the U.S. and Europe. Sorry, guys. I do know we have some European listeners. I don't have a rope to throw you. You guys are done. I don't know that there's any coming back. All of it's done. That's why people are bending the knee. And they know the money's dried up. The Fed has lost control of the market. It's reducing the Fed rate, and inflation is continuing to rise, and interest rates are going up. So the Fed has no choice but to pivot or let everyone see that it is out of control of the market. And if that happens, that's anarchy. That's financial chaos. That's the thing they want to avoid. So there's whether or not the people who are bending the knee right now understand that explicitly, I don't know, but everyone does understand it at a subconscious level, that it's over, that things have changed, that the winds of the direction of history has been altered, and the people who wanted power and had power are losing it and not going to get it. And part of that is this, green initiative stuff all coming to a swift end. Now, I thought about that because of I thought about the green thing because of the fires in California. Because I think it was the last time Trump was in power. Like every time we had a major weather crisis, it was like Trump did it. The Republicans they did another hurricane. So that made me think about it, and nobody's really saying that. At least I haven't seen people taking that angle in California. Now you have these wildfires in California. I guess we're switching topics now, but you have these wildfires in California that are, they just destroyed LA, I guess. I don't really know how else to say that. I guess they just destroyed half of the city. And a huge part of it was because of these kind of green deals where they're diverting water and stuff. And so there's like no water in the fire hydrants, and they're cutting whatever. You guys have seen it. I'm sure you guys have seen a ton of it. Like the Palisades, I guess, is the place that just got completely destroyed. Super wealthy people living there, and it all happened because of this green initiative stuff. And so that's why that's what made me think about it. That's what made me want to bring it up. But you can relax, right? Here's the thing. This is going to be kind of dark for a second, all right? With this healthcare CEO assassination, these fires in LA, you have these things that are dark and bad but have to happen. And I'm not going to take like the side of like leftists who are like, we'll kill CEOs now or whatever, like, romanticizing Mario Linguini or whatever his stupid Italian name is. These things have to happen. The Lord is going to turn us over or turn yourself over. They're going to turn the United Healthcare CEO over to himself and to the consequences of his actions. I think United Health denied more claims than any other company. The healthcare system is completely broken thanks to Obamacare. It was kind of broken before that, but now, you can go look at the charts of like hospitals adding bureaucrats versus actual healthcare professionals to their staff, and it's like exponentially more bureaucrats, people who don't actually offer any value. So you can't sell their services. You can't use their services to make any money. You just have to hire them to help you deal with the ever-increasing compliance and regulatory environment, like the environment that just these mountains of paperwork. You have to hire all of these bureaucrats. And so it's like a double spin problem, because you're having to spend the money to hire them, but you also can't sell their services. So that money you would spend to grow the hospital itself, like by getting more beds, hiring more doctors, you'd spend that money, then you could convert that money into more money. So you have the opportunity cost of losing out on the ability to grow the hospital, plus you have to go spend the money on those people. So it's a doubling effect. It's not just that you have to spend $50,000 on some like obese woman who's constantly smacking her lips, drinking out of a gigantic cup, going, look, honey, I got paperwork to do. Nah, you hear they're working maybe 15 hours a week, and their entire job is clicking 2 boxes on a single form of paper. It goes to the next person. You have to spend $50,000. It's not just that you have to spend $50,000 a year on her. It's that you can't spend that $50,000 to make another $100,000. So you're losing the $100,000 and the $50,000. So it's $150,000 that you're actually paying to have this retard come sit in a what are they called when it's ergonomic chair because she has back pain or whatever because she won't stop eating seed oils, and so she's got three tummies. She's got her one beer gut, and then both of her boobs are so overgrown and swollen with water weight and fat that they're causing like severe back issues. So she's got health problems that are now taxing the system because she's so fat, and you're having to pay more to get better chairs for her. Great, excellent, cool. Glad the system's working so efficiently, so well. It's so buttered up and oiled. So this has gone off the rails a little bit, so we'll bring it back here. It's all over. All of this is ending. And everybody knows that this is all ending. And they are scrambling to get on the good side of the man in charge. And what was I saying about the fire? I don't even remember how I got on the health stuff. Whatever. I'm not going back. I'm not looking at it. So moving along. All right. Now here's the big one. This is the one that I don't see. Maybe I think this is a bigger deal than it is. And so that's why I don't see a lot of people talking about this. But Trump said it in his inauguration, and like my family didn't react. Like the people I was in the room listening to the speech with didn't react. Nobody batted an eye. And it was pretty astounding that was the case. Trump is declaring or is going to declare the cartels foreign terrorist organizations. Okay, do you realize what that means? Do you guys realize? Do people understand that that's the justification that we use to invade Iraq? Anybody? Nope. Nobody seems to be. I've seen like 2 tweets about this. 2 posts on that. I guess what are they called? I've seen 2 X's about this. That's crazy. That's insane. Now it's good. I'm not saying it's insane as in like it's stupid or whatever. It's great. It's awesome. I'm glad he did it. I think the thing that's interesting here is Mike Vigil, who's got 3 decades with the Drug Enforcement Administration, the DEA, as it's otherwise known, has come out and said that so this guy that was at the DEA has come out and said that it won't change anything because we already have the ability to seize the bank accounts and properties of the groups in the U.S., which is, I mean, listen, I don't know what Mike Vigil, I don't know who paid Mike Vigil to say something this retarded. He said that it could damage the relationship with Mexico, one of our biggest trade partners, and that attacking these cartels with military forces would be the same thing as attacking the country itself. Interesting take, strange take. And that it might have an impact on U.S. businesses that have to deal with Mexican businesses that are forced to deal with the cartels, which to me sounds like code for, I know there are a lot of pharmaceutical companies that have manufacturing in Mexico that use the cartels to source some of their materials. That's what that sounds like to me. And he's probably got a vested interest in that. He's probably got a few million in the pocket from those organizations. So he doesn't want that to occur. He also raised the point that the Mexican cartels they're using either in a large amount or a small amount. They're using weapons that the U.S. has furnished, which is and so why are we arming people we're preparing to fight? Which is insane. What is the Mujahideen? What's that? What did Mike Vigil think about invading Iraq and Afghanistan after 9/11? Did he think fondly of that? That's my question. People who, and I'm just using this Mike Vigil guy because he came up with like the 3 most coherent points I've seen to counteract this idea that we should be, drone striking cartel members. But what? I'm in a shambles, dude. I can't think. Oh, brother. What? How could this be any different from Iraq, except instead of Iraq and Afghanistan posing no real threat to us, we have Like Mike said, attacking the cartels would be the same as attacking Mexico itself. These cartels are embedded deeply into Mexico. They are the Mexican government. So why would it be any different to attack them versus what it was to attack Iraq and Afghanistan? The difference I'll claim is that the Mexican cartels are actually a threat. How many deaths, how many American deaths are Mexican cartels responsible for every year because of drugs? They didn't tell anybody they were starting to put fentanyl in the coke and in the heroin and stuff. How many people did you hear die of fent overdoses because they didn't know fentanyl was in the drugs? Now everybody knows fentanyl's in the drugs, so people are more cautious with it, and not as many people die. But, dude, look it up. How many? There was a story not long ago, maybe a year or so ago, about some off-duty military guys partying, all dying of a fentanyl overdose, and the cops showing up and all overdosing on fentanyl because they touched the people that had touched the fentanyl. There was like trace amounts of fentanyl on these guys, and it was killing the cops, or at least the cops were overdosing on it. Where do we draw the line here? Aren't you guys? Isn't Mike Vigil and his type? Aren't you guys all about war? Why do all of a sudden you don't want to go to war now? Why? All of a sudden now isn't a time to go to war. Now my suspicion is, given the reasons, is that you know very well that these cartels are operating with some of the largest companies in the U.S. or on the planet in general, the pharmaceutical companies, and they're feeling the heat. They're feeling the heat from old RFK Jr. They're feeling the heat now that all of a sudden their suppliers are going to start getting raided and bombed. What's the? I just don't. How can you interpret that information any other way than that Mike and his cohort and his people are benefiting from the existence of the cartels, and so they're going to just come up with some asinine reason to not crush them. I saw online lefty weirdos being like, "Oh yeah, I hope Americans are ready for some serious bombings and they're ready for bombings and shootings and stuff, all in retaliation from the cartels to try to scare Americans." Wait, so your argument for not naming you're saying we shouldn't name the cartels terrorist organizations because if we do, they're going to act like terrorists? That's your argument? That we shouldn't kill terrorists because they'll act like terrorists? I just this weak need, whatever. This is a bad episode, dude. I got to stop doing this at night. The Mexican president, Scheinbaum or whatever, Jew. She's saying that Mexico will work with, we're going to defend our sovereignty, but we'll work with America as best we can. What sovereignty? What sovereignty? You don't have a Mexican president. You have a Jewish president. The police force doesn't exist. They tried to arrest El Chapo's son, and the cartels just showed up and said, "Give him back," and they did. There's no government in Mexico. It's a lie. It doesn't exist. So who cares? If we show up with a bunch of guns and say, "Hey, you can't sell drugs or cut each other in half anymore," why is that bad? And if a few evil villains have to get their heads blown off in order to stop it, so be it. They shouldn't have been drug dealers to begin with in the first place. Anyways, this is a big deal. I hope what we see is, I hope we see U.S. Special Forces in Mexico. I hope we see drone strikes. I hope so. I hope somebody gets held accountable for what's going on in the world today. That's what I hope. I think it's good. I think we should declare these organizations terrorist organizations. And if we have to invade Mexico fully, like on the ground, put a bunch of Army Rangers conducting raids on the border or whatever, if that's what has to be done to secure the American border and the safety of the American people, then so be it. If the Mexican government already it already forfeited its sovereignty to the cartels. And if the Mexican government has to pay the price of that forfeiture by getting invaded by the U.S., then so be it. And if you think that the U.S., that the cartels have a shot, because I saw that too. I saw a lot of people being like, "What, are you not scared of the cartels? They're a rabble. They're a crazy bunch down there, the cartels." Dude. Brother. I don't know what kind of missiles the U.S. shoots these days, but a bunch of AK-47s on some guys wearing skull balaclavas and cutting women in half, they're not that tough. All right, they're going to get hit with 3 of these missiles and go, you know what? It might be time for a new career. My boys are dropping like flies. Apparently, the cartels have like Mexican special forces working for them. You know what Mexican special forces are? Dudes with nail guns building houses in the U.S. That's Mexican special forces. That's who they deploy. All right? They mow my lawn, Mexican special forces. Okay? That's Mexican special forces. They get out here, they work. Sometimes they're boxers and they're pretty good. All right? That's Mexican special forces. Mexican special forces just figured out which side of the AK-47 shoots the bullet. Okay? We're not worried about Mexicans. All right? They're a hardworking bunch, but they're not organized. Okay? Sorry. Just the way it is. Go ask them. All right? I can take you right now. I like Mexicans. I actually like them a lot. I'm friends with a lot of them. I like the people group. Okay? Big fan. Big Mexican fan. They'll tell you right to your face. Mexicans work hard. They physically move faster and work harder than whites do, but they are not organized. All right? That's a white man's game. Organization. Okay? And in a war, organization's what matters. All right? In a kinetic, blown out, we're fighting war, organization is what matters. And it's just another example that this is over. It's over. The stuff at the border, it's over. Trump deployed Marines down there. Oh, also the cartels are shooting at Border Patrol agents. They have surface to air like missiles or something now. They have like shoulder mounted surface to air missiles that somebody saw or whatever. I mean, this it's going to escalate, but it should escalate. This has to end. That's what that is the hope of a weaker person. That is the hope of someone that's weaker, is that the stronger person is not willing to escalate the situation to stop the weaker person. I've dealt with that actually a lot, kind of personally in my life. Not saying that I'm like stronger or whatever. I'm just saying I've witnessed it. I've been around it. I've been around people who do not have the gumption to have a serious amount of conflict with another person, and the other person does, and they're playing this little snaky female game to like pull the pants down on the alpha. And position himself so that it looks like if he escalates, he's the aggressor's the victim, right? That's a weak man's game. So if your argument is that escalating the situation is going to escalate the situation, you are admitting that the cartels are not equipped to deal with the U.S. military, which seems obvious to me. I don't know why this isn't obvious. And I don't know why more people aren't thinking that this is crazy. That's cool as hell. I hope. First of all, we got to get these Army guys to do something, all right? We got to get Jocko Willink back out there. We got to get him off of podcasts. We got to get Sean Ryan back out there. These guys got to do something with their time, okay? We got to redeploy the CIA in a way that's helpful to the American people. These guys have been bored for too long, and they've been messing around in the U.S. for too long, okay? We got to get them busy again because they are super cool. Obviously, they got big muscles. They know how to draw a pistol and headshot someone at 15 yards. We got to deploy those skills somewhere where it's actually useful, not on podcasts, not talking about how good they are at waking up at 5 a.m. to go to the office or whatever. Whatever it is these guys are doing today, it's not good. It's not good for them. It's not good for us. We got to get these blockheads back out there chopping minorities in half. All right? We've got to get them doing what they're good at, okay, which is taking silenced guns into villages full of brown people and killing all the men. All right? Now, I don't listen, okay? You might say, that's offensive, Ethan. Why would you say something like that? It's not me, okay? I'm a reporter, dude. This is a news show. I'm telling you about how it is. Are you going to tell me right now that's not what happened in Iraq? That's what you're going to tell me? That we didn't just get some corn-fed retards, send them over there to cut a bunch of brown guys in half with big guns? That's exactly what happened, okay? And it's going to happen again to the Mexicans if they don't come correct. All right, and they're not going to come correct. All right, the cartels, they're here. They're here to bang. So let's bang, dude. Let's bang. That's what I have to say about that. Buckle up. That's it, guys. That's all I've got for you. Things are good. I think it probably is, the Brazilification, the favelification of cities and stuff is probably going to continue. I think at the end of the day, I don't even know. I don't know. It's kind of hard. I think my predictions last year seem further away than they were last year, which I mean is obvious. And many of you guys have heard those on this show and on Work Hard and that kind of stuff. They seem further away. The collapse of the West seems less imminent, and I don't know. I don't know if that's good. I don't know if I feel good about that, because you need the fever to burn out the virus, and I don't know if we are allowing the virus to grow more rampant underneath by not treating the direct causes of the symptoms and just making the symptoms better. I don't know if that's what's happening or not. But things are, I think, in the immediate, they're going to improve. And also, I'm never going to shy from this, probably, which is that I think the West is different. I think this idea of collapse, total collapse, is not something that that will occur in the West or can occur in the West. I don't think that the Lord gives ground, and the West is still, every argument that's made, even by insane leftists, it's still appealing to it's inverted, right? But it's still acting as if it still has to pay homage to this idea of valuing human life, of order and reason, and these are values that are held by believers. I think that the Christian faith and the power of the Lord is offensive. I don't think it's defensive. I don't think that we're in a state of trying to defend Scripture and its power. I think Scripture is an offensive weapon. It is spreading across the planet, and I don't think the Lord gives ground. And so I think the West has a unique ability to fail and rebirth, come out of be resurrected. It is made up of people who are constantly in a state of death and rebirth and transformation and sanctification. And I think that that's what's happening in the West, is you are seeing the sanctification of an entire geographic area, of an entire people. And it's easy to say, while you're in the when you're in the trial period, when you're in the middle of a storm, that God has abandoned us, or that we've abandoned God, or that things are really bad, and obviously people are less Christian and things are on the downtrend. But I don't think that means that the overall actual trend is down. I think it's a dip in the market. And if you're going to despair in the face of every dip, then you're not going to hold. You're not going to hold the asset that you're talking about. And the asset that I'm talking about here is the West. I think the future is ultimately bright. I do think that we are going to have to go through some hard times. We're going to have some corrections. We're going to have to flush these people out. Maybe God will have mercy on us. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe there won't be a World War III and there won't be some kind of financial crisis. Maybe Trump has got to, maybe the Lord is guiding. I mean, the Lord is guiding Trump. But, Trump said, the Lord saved me so that I can make America great again. And maybe that's true. Maybe we just experienced the dip, and the dip is over, and things are going to get great, and they're going to keep getting great for the next 200 years. We don't know. And I don't know. But the thing that matters is that you are focusing on your life and doing the things that you know are right according to God's word and according to the Holy Spirit and its direction in your life. That's what matters. You can't, at the end of the day, you have almost no ability to change anything with these Green New Deal stuff. I worked in that world. I worked in the nonprofit. I helped nonprofits with their finances. It's what I did. And even I was directly involved with it. And I had almost no power to change anything. Right? I did everything I could. I wouldn't take deals that I knew were bad, that I knew for a fact were scammy, with organizations that I knew were scamming. I did what I could, but it didn't make even a dent, man. I was just focused on doing what I knew was right in the moment. And it didn't even make a dent. You can't, unless you're going to be the president of the United States, which is unlikely, you can't really have a huge effect. And so what effect can you have? The effect you can have is focusing on your life, doing the right things, having children, raising them up in the Word of God, teaching them to memorize the 10 Commandments, teaching them to live by them, sharing the gospel with anybody who will listen. Or, well, sharing the gospel when you get a chance in light ways. I'm not a big, I don't think you need to beat people over the head with that. It does its own work. But, doing a good job at your job, saying no to work is wrong, and doing a good job where it's right. Being good to your woman, being good to your man. These are the things that matter. Care about your parents. Take your kids to go see them. Make sure your kids know their grandparents. Spend lots of time with your parents. You owe that to them. Show, even if you don't owe it to them, even if you had bad parents, show your kids how you ought to treat your parents, so that when you're old, they bring their grandkids to see, they bring your grandkids to see you all the time. And you don't have to die alone in some facility. You get to live at their house. Focus on your life. Get your money up. Get your relationships right. Try your best to get yourself into a financial and material situation that allows you to say, I'm not doing this. I quit this job. You have no power here. I have money in the bank. I have cash. I have assets in reserve. I can survive without a job for like a year. I don't need this. Get yourself in a position where you can take a stand. If you feel like somebody who wants to take a stand, get yourself in a position where you can. If you feel like somebody who wants to make a big difference, you can't make a big difference from a place of desperation. It's not going to happen. So get your life right. Find a woman. Figure out how money works. Please figure out how money works. I hope that listening to this show and Work Hard and some of the other hyper premium productions will help you with that. This is high agency time, man. In the dip in the market, when society can't take care of you, that is when it is most important to take care of yourself and the people around you. So focus on your own life. That is what they don't want. And that is where your power really exists, in flexing the authority that God has given you over the realms that he has given you, that he has given authority for you in. It's a little, redundant to say it that way, but you get what I'm trying to say. It is time to take care of yourself. It is time to put away your phone. All right? Quit getting so spun up on all this stuff. Quit getting so stressed out. It's okay. And on the flip side, don't start, going on Twitter and feeling great about all this stuff with Trump. You're still drawing your attention away from your family, away from your life. Don't listen to this and get all excited. You got to stay. Now listen, I'm not a Buddhist, okay? But I do think that in every idea there's echoes of God's truth. In every good idea there's echoes of God's truth. There's things that you can extract from the world. There are good ideas you can extract from worldly knowledge. Maybe I shouldn't have said it like that, but you get what I'm trying to say, all right? There's natural revelation exists, general revelation exists. People can discern truths without having heard the scripture or being a regenerate Christian. And there's a principle in Buddhism, this idea of heaven and hell, where you have a human state that's in the middle, and you have a heaven state that's just like total bliss, where you're going and living in total bliss, but you're burning off all your good karma. And then you go to hell, where you burn off all your bad karma, and it's just total torture, anguish, whatever. And then you go back to a human existence where you're neutral. And And that's the idea. It's not to get into heaven or hell, because you'll enter into this cycle where you're just like constantly in heaven or hell, heaven or hell, heaven or hell. The real goal is to be in the human area, in the middle, where you're not being whipped around emotionally in either direction. You're not being pulled here and pulled there. You're solid. You're in the middle. You're flatlined. You know, there's no volatility in your life, or very little volatility. That's where productivity occurs. That's where families get built. That's where churches get built. That's where communities come together. That's where men who can be relied on exist, is in the middle, is in balance and reason. So focus on your life, man. Let this stuff go. It's fun to talk about, and I do want to talk about it, and I want to make light of it, you know, make funny jokes and stuff, and, you know, try to get people to laugh and take all this stuff lighter. And see how ridiculous a lot of it is. But once that's said and done, man, just let it go. Let it be what it is, and focus on your life and what you're doing right now. What time do you have to get up in the morning tomorrow? Do you want to do that? If you don't want to do it, you know, maybe get up 30 minutes later. Whatever. Take little steps to make your life better. Do what you got to do, man. Do what you got to do. That is the Maximum Alert mission. Focus on your life, or message. Focus on your life and do what must be done to improve it for the sake of God's kingdom, to the glory of God. That's what this is all about. All right, guys. I'm out. I love you. See you next week. Hyper Premium is spinning up, man. We got Death with Deity. We got Work Hard. We got Maximum Alert. We got an interview coming soon for Hyper Premium Presents that I think you guys are going to like. It's going to be cool. Working on that right now. Got some other podcasts in a very tertiary conversation, not tertiary, in very, you know, preliminary conversations. They're just starting out. They may occur, they may not, but we're spinning up. All right. So keep a lookout. If you don't like me, I'm sure you like Jason. So you can listen to Work Hard if you want a little dose of Jason. If you want a double dose of Jason, hit yourself with Death with Deity. That's a podcast that Jason does. Has nothing to do with me. Totally run by Jason. Total creative control over with Jason. It's a good show, man. It's cool. Really cool. If you like me, you can find me more on Work Hard. Obviously here, obviously on Hyper Premium Presents. Yeah, guys, this is it. This is what we're doing. This is the grind. Love you guys. Thanks for listening. Really, really appreciate it. Thanks for all the attention we're getting, man. Hyper Premium's growing in viewer count. We really, really appreciate that. Thank you for giving us your time and attention. I know it's valuable. But that's it. All right, guys, I'm out. Love you. Bye.